Why do some children run confidently back to a parent after getting upset, while others completely shut down? Why do some kids become extremely clingy, and others act like they don't need anyone at all? A lot of this can be connected to something called attachment styles. And the truth is, attachment affects far more than childhood. It can shape emotional regulation, confidence, relationships, behavior, and even how children see themselves later in life. So today we're breaking down the four main attachment styles, what they look like in children, where they often come from, and how they can affect someone long term. Before we start, it's important to say this. Attachment is not about being a perfect parent. There is no such thing as perfect parenting. Children do not need perfection. They need enough safety, connection, consistency, and emotional responsiveness over time. And attachment styles are not labels meant to shame parents, they are simply patterns. Patterns children develop based on how safe, supported, and emotionally connected they feel in relationships. Understanding attachment can help parents, teachers, caregivers, and anyone working with children respond with more empathy and understanding instead of just focusing on the behavior we see. Because behind every behavior, there is usually a need. Attachment is the emotional bond a child develops with their caregiver. It starts very early in life. Babies and young children depend completely on adults for safety, comfort, emotional regulation, and survival. Over time, children begin learning. Can I trust people? Will someone help me when I'm upset? Am I safe? Do my emotions matter? Am I lovable? And children learn these things mostly through repeated experiences, not through one bad day, not through one mistake, but through patterns over time. When caregivers are emotionally available and responsive most of the time, children are more likely to develop secure attachment. When caregiving becomes inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, frightening, or unpredictable, children may adapt in different ways, and these adaptations become attachment styles. Secure attachment is considered the healthiest attachment style. Children with secure attachment generally feel safe knowing someone will comfort them, their needs matter, and relationships are trustworthy. This does not mean these children never cry, struggle, or get upset. It simply means they trust that support is available when they need it. For example, imagine a toddler at a playground. They run off to explore, but occasionally look back to check if their parent is still there. If they fall or get scared, they go back to the caregiver for comfort. Then once they feel calm again, they continue exploring. That's secure attachment in action. The caregiver becomes a safe base. A secure child learns, I can explore the world because I know I'm safe. Children with secure attachment are often more likely to regulate emotions better, build healthy relationships, feel more confident, communicate needs openly, and recover from stress more easily. As adults, securely attached people often trust others more easily, communicate emotions more openly, handle conflict more calmly, and maintain healthier relationships overall. Again, this does not mean perfect. Securely attached people still struggle sometimes, but they generally have a stronger emotional foundation. Anxious attachment often develops when caregiving feels inconsistent. Sometimes the child's emotional needs are met, and sometimes they are ignored, dismissed, or unpredictable. Because of this inconsistency, the child becomes highly focused on connection and reassurance. These children often worry, will my caregiver be there for me? What if they leave? What if I lose connection? As a result, they may become very clingy, extremely emotional, highly sensitive to separation, or constantly seeking reassurance. For example, imagine a child at daycare who becomes extremely distressed every single drop-off, not just upset for a few minutes, but deeply panicked. Or a child who constantly asks, do you still love me? Are you mad at me? Will you come back? These children are not dramatic. Their nervous systems are searching for safety. Long-term anxious attachment can sometimes lead to fear of abandonment, people-pleasing, emotional dependency, difficulty being alone, and anxiety in relationships. As adults, anxiously attached people may overthink relationships, fear rejection, seek constant reassurance, or struggle with emotional insecurity. And often, these adults are not too sensitive. They simply learned early in life that connection did not always feel secure. Avoidant attachment can develop when children repeatedly experience emotional distance, rejection, or lack of emotional responsiveness. These children learn something very important early on. Needing people doesn't feel safe. So instead of becoming clingy, they adapt by becoming emotionally independent. On the outside, avoidantly attached children may seem unusually independent, emotionally detached, quiet, or like they don't need anyone. For example, imagine a child falling and hurting themselves. But instead of seeking comfort, they immediately say, I'm fine, even when they're clearly upset. Or a child who stops asking for help because they learned help usually doesn't come. These children are not necessarily less emotional. In fact, many avoidantly attached children feel big emotions internally. They've simply learned not to show vulnerability. Long-term avoidant attachment may lead to emotional distancing, difficulty trusting others, fear of vulnerability, suppressing emotions, and discomfort with closeness. As adults, avoidantly attached people may pull away during emotional conversations, struggle to ask for support, avoid intimacy, or shut down emotionally under stress. Again, this is not because they are cold or uncaring, it is often a protective adaptation. They learned depending on people is unsafe. Disorganized attachment is often considered the most complex attachment style. It usually develops when the caregiver is both a source of comfort and a source of fear, unpredictability, or chaos. This can happen in environments involving trauma, severe emotional instability, frightening behavior, abuse, addiction, or highly unpredictable caregiving. These children often feel deeply confused. Their nervous system wants connection, but also feels unsafe around the very person they depend on. As a result, their behavior may seem very inconsistent. For example, a child may seek comfort, then suddenly push the caregiver away, freeze emotionally, act aggressively, or become highly dysregulated. You might see intense emotional outbursts, controlling behavior, fearfulness, aggression, or difficulty trusting others. These children are often misunderstood as simply difficult, but underneath the behavior is usually a deeply overwhelmed nervous system. Long-term disorganized attachment can increase risk for emotional dysregulation, unstable relationships, anxiety, difficulty trusting, low self-worth, and mental health struggles later in life. But this part is very important. Attachment styles are not life sentences. Children can heal, adults can heal. Supportive, safe, emotionally responsive relationships can create change over time. One of the most important things caregivers can understand is this: behavior is communication. A child who screams, clings, shuts down, avoids, or acts aggressively is often communicating unmet emotional needs. And attachment is built in the small moments, not grand gestures. Children build attachment through comfort, consistency, emotional safety, repair after conflict, feeling seen, and knowing someone will come back for them emotionally. And yes, parents will make mistakes. All parents do. Attachment is not ruined because you lost patience once, needed space, raised your voice, or had a hard day. What matters most is repair, saying, I'm sorry. I understand you were upset. I'm here now. Those moments matter deeply. Attachment styles also show up strongly in schools and childcare settings. Teachers and caregivers may notice clingy behavior, emotional shutdown, aggression, perfectionism, people-pleasing, or difficulty trusting adults. And often, what looks like bad behavior may actually be survival behavior. For example, a child refusing help may fear vulnerability. A child constantly seeking attention may fear disconnection. A child acting aggressively may feel unsafe internally. Understanding attachment helps adults respond with empathy, patience, boundaries, and emotional safety instead of shame or punishment alone. Because children regulate through relationships. Can attachment change? Yes, absolutely. Attachment styles are patterns, not permanent identities. A child can move towards secure attachment through safe relationships, emotional consistency, therapy, supportive caregivers, emotional validation, and healthy connection over time. And adults can heal too. Many people begin understanding their attachment style later in life. And once awareness grows, healing becomes possible. Secure attachment is not about perfection. It's about safety, trust, repair, connection. At the end of the day, attachment is really about one core question. Do I feel safe, loved, and supported in relationships? Children may not remember every single thing we say, but they remember how relationships feel. They remember who comforted them, who listened, who felt emotionally safe, and who helped them feel seen. And that emotional foundation can shape them for years to come. So whether you're a parent, teacher, caregiver, or someone working with children, your emotional presence matters more than you probably realize. Not perfection, not flawless parenting, just safe, connected, emotionally responsive relationships built over time. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to Toddlers and Teens for more parenting insights, child development topics, emotional regulation tools, and real conversations about raising children with empathy and understanding.